So we'll come back to the second lecture. So today, really, we are going to kick in the Linux operating system. But before to starting a bit all the techniques about working with the OSGeo, I'm going to update you about some policy that we have been running through the other day, but just to be sure that everything is in line. And if you have any questions, just let us know, especially in terms of office hour. We don't have a fixed hours, so but you can ping a special appointment directly on the Slack channel, and we can try to reply and see. Feel free also to ping us for other kind of let's say suggestion in coding and techniques, algorithm developing, also for something that is not really related to the courses. So we are always curious to see what the people use in the different domain. So I hope that everybody is in the Slack channel. I think I missed 2 or 3 people. I didn't went to who is missing, but be sure to be there, because we are going to use it also for some kind of communication during the class. Homework, as I mentioned to you, and Lonzu also mentioned, there are going to be some voluntary homework like the one that I'm going to give today. Let's say that there are going to be more suggestions in this direction, and some other that are going to be compulsory homework. But both of them, feel free to change with something in line with your PhD thesis, master thesis, or work environment. So it's important that you keep using the tools, even if they are not the same tools. Even so, if I I ask you to use GDAL calc, you use another GDAL command, is pretty fine. But it's important that you do it everything with the tools, with the command line that that we are going to teach it. And something related to your project is also something that we really appreciate if you start to do it from the beginning. So the final aim is really, if you go directly into the OSGeo, to the spatial ecology, and you can scrolling down over here, there are the study case from last year Copenhagen, Sweden course that we have running for Stockholm University. And over here you can see different study case that student project. The different students have been working for their project, and you can see what we are aiming to. So it's going to be a presentation with the code developed through these 2 months. And the presentation is going to happen in the last week, in the first week of June, second week of June. In particular, we are going to meet in Matera. One second. So we're going to meet in Matera, and in this particular town that is very beautiful. So I can show you some nice picture of this town. It's very ancient, caving town, very close to Bari, and Bari is very well connected with the airport. So it's 1 hour from Bari, and you can fly from all over Europe, well, not all over, but many places in Europe, and also from Milan or Rome. So in this regard, the final presentation can be also done online, but we need to know, but if we are going to organize the final event in Matera, we need to know how many people are coming to Matera, and to see if we are able, I mean, the room is booked, so we need just to confirm how many people, and if there are enough people, we make the effort to do it. And this particular line, I kind of request if you can go directly in the link that I'm sending to the Slack channel right now, because we have a pool where we can vote, and we can vote. So if you go over here in this link that I just sent to the Slack channel. I can activate, and we can see if you have already an idea to come. So let's say you can click I will come if you are 90% sure to come. If you're not coming for some personal reason or visa, because some people are very far from Italy, you can even click come, I cannot come, or maybe if you have intention to come but you still don't know. And based on the result, we will see if it's possible to organize or not. Because if you are coming just 3-4 people, we are not going to organize. But if they're coming more than half, let's say, we are happy to organize the event and do it in Pantera. It's a very friendly town. You can also come with your, it's very safe. You can also come with your family. It's very kids-oriented town, so and the sea is close by, just 40 kilometers, so you can even combine 1 week course plus another week of vacation in the south of Italy. So feel free, I activate. I think you know already from how to do it, and if you don't have the link, I can also show it over here, the link. This is the link over here. And I can see that some people already, so please click it. And when we arrive to more or less more than half, I will see the result and we can see.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Is this now decided that it will be this week? Because earlier on there was mention of two possible weeks.
Yes, right. So the week is this one, the 13th, 17th of June. So has been already, like I mentioned, the room is already booked. So it's just a matter of organizing, counting how many people we are from all of you guys. And in case we will just be sure, counting and see how many we are, and we will organize. So there are Ryanair fly from Europe and also EasyJet. So it's quite cheap to arrive. And so then also the village is full of bread and breakfast and little restaurants. So it's very easy to find accommodation for 40 euro a night for one person, no problem. And also the food is quite cheap. With less than 20 euro you can eat in local restaurant. Okay, so let's see, we can already see the result. We're missing 10 people or 9, so please keep. So let's see the response. Okay, so we have already 41% and some maybe. So let's try to work on these 41% to become a bit more. So if the people in the maybe, so use this week also to check airplane connection to Bari, and see how you can organize. Maybe we can organize a bit more. So I will kind of ask you to make a deposit in order to be sure that who say yes then is coming. Also, to be fair with the others, I will ask you to make a deposit, and maybe we can do it even early than 21st of April. So if this deposit, to be sure that all you guys are coming, all the one that they say yes, then I will bring you back the deposit as soon you are here. In this way, we are not making an effort and then all the 3 people are coming, because then it's going to be quite difficult to have, many people online and many people also off-site. So this week is going to be mainly a freestyle, freestyle week, in the sense that you are going to work with your coding procedure. Me and Lonzu will be there, maybe also Antonio. And we will try to invite also some other coder or other scientists, very strong in coding and so on, that they can spend 1 or 2 days over there. Then we can have also additional lecture, very short, like 1 hour, 2 hours, but per day. But the main focus is really working on your coding, on your procedure, and finalize the presentation. And people cannot come, we will try also to ping inside and do a bit of troubleshooting also for them. And the one that cannot come, they can do the presentation online. And we will follow up from the Matera side. Any other question on this regard? Let's see.
How many? When can we answer this question or on whether we are going or not? Like, this pool will be available during the rest of the week or just for today?
No, I can leave it on. I can leave it on. So feel free to change if you are in maybe. Feel free to change it. Thanks for asking. And so check. Yes, of course, we need to check. But I say over here, we need to the one that is really making the difference is going to be the deposit, you know, because that one we are very sure that people are coming and we can count how many are coming, and then we can organize all the bureaucracy, let's say the machine. I mean, it's nothing bureaucratic, but for people outside of Europe and outside to United States, they will need visa to enter in the Schengen country, and that one can be a bit difficult because I heard that due to the pandemic, all the visa requirements are very slow. So I can't guarantee for these people that are able to come, but we will do a big effort to have them in the class online without any problem, especially for the presentation. Okay, so I will leave this pool open. Feel free also, because you can even unclick if you are in the maybe you can able to log in into the other one. I mean, to switch the pool. Any other question? Okay, we can move to the next step. So let's go to the virtual machine installation. So I hope everybody was arriving to this area, and in particular, you were following this procedure to installing the virtual machine. The virtual machine, the OSGeo Live virtual machine, is a big effort that was starting like 15 years ago and has been carried over, especially for developer to testing the different software. And then 15 years ago, when they realized was a good starting base for the different for making courses, because everybody can have the same software. So if you are troubling, we are getting an error, is going to be the same error among all the students. Something extremely important to consider is that we are going to we are running running a virtual machine, but you can use it also OSGeo Live to do a full installation in your hard disk. Okay, so if you have a Windows machine and you want to do a dual boot machine, you can click over here and they are going to tell you the procedure to do a full installation. The virtual machine is nothing else that an isolated environment, and in particular is the big file, the VMDK big file that you were downloading. So that one is the one that is having all the file inside. So all the operating system and all the file is inside to this VMDK. So pay attention to have also a backup of this big file. Is 20 gigas, so maybe just one backup is fine, because if something happen, you have to reinstall it everything. It's not a big deal to reinstall it. You have the procedure, but you can also making a copy of that file. In particular, this one is allow you to have a dual boot in your system. So you can, when you switch, you can decide to running Windows, or you can decide to running the OSGeo Live, or you can even completely flat down, making a full partition for the OSGeo Live and having all operating system in Linux environment. So for the OSGeo Live, and all for the Ubuntu, OSGeo Live is running Ubuntu, in particular Lubuntu, that is a light version of Ubuntu. All these names are among the Linux distribution, and there are several ones, but Ubuntu with is the most the most used one. So you can see a lot of forum in, so as soon you're running in problems, say you want to search into how to solve a particular problem, you can just get Ubuntu install Grass, Ubuntu, and you can find a lot of solutions that are going to work also for the SGO Live. In this context, the SGO Live is very hands-on because you don't need to do the full installation of all the GIS software. Okay, in particular case can be quite difficult. So you can run really in some problem if you are especially in the beginning. So what I suggest to you is keep using the virtual machine for at least 5-6 months, and when you become really familiar, you can slowly transition into the full installation. Having a virtual machine running means not to have a full having part of your RAM already occupied from the virtual machine. For example, if you see my system, or system monitoring. So this one is the one that now is running in my system. You can see that I have quite a lot of RAM, because half of the RAM, I would say 1/3 is for my native Linux. Another third is for all the software that is running. And then is another third is also for the virtual machine that is running. So in particular, when you select and you build up the virtual machine, you are dedicating some particular quantity of RAM, okay? So that RAM is the maximum RAM that your system is going to use it in order to make operation. So again, the virtual machine is very good for learning, but for massive operation is not, because you are not using all this part of your RAM operating system. So it's very good in a transitional way to in this aspect. So have someone of you already using a virtual machine in some aspect? And if yes, you can mention how. Anyone? Sebastian, tell me your experience.
Well, so actually, I just been using it for this class. I actually had a question about what the last thing you said. Is that all right?
Please.
And so we allocate the RAM to the virtual machine. Does that mean when the virtual machine is running, it uses all of that RAM, or it's allowed to use all that RAM? So like if you just open the virtual machine.
It's allowed to use all the RAM. It's allowed to use all the RAM. And actually inside to the virtual machine, you can do pretty the same. You can see the system. Now I don't know where it is, but it should be, I think we can search. For process, it should be something very similar to the one that I show. Should be one of these. Now I don't know very well where it is. And you can see how much, you can even use top. Actually, write down this command, top. Okay, and even better, htop. So we are entering already in there. Okay, so for example, look in htop, H stay for human, and top process it should be. And you can see that we are using only one CPU, because the virtual machine as a default is set for one CPU. But we can increase it, we can see later on. And for the RAM, look, I was using 4, almost 5 in my case, but I'm using just maybe, one or a bit more than one. Okay, so this one can be understanding how much RAM is using the process and how much the virtual machine is using. So then, of course, if you are going to hit the RAM over here, your computer is going to freeze. Okay, so the only way you can increase by shutting down the machine and changing the setting of the machine, because all this setting, when the machine is running, you can't change. But if you go over here, you look, you can change it right now. But if you go over here, you can increase. Of course, don't go into the red area. That if not, is going to be bad for both operating system, for your guest and host operating system. Okay. Any other question? These are very good questions, so feel free to ask and jump on it, because I can't see your everybody in the view. So jump on it with because I can't see often the little hand showing up. Okay, put the chat. Any other question in this regard? Rosa. Working machine is working fine.
Microphone is working.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, it's everything
I
is.
can hear you.
It's fine. I used once, but for a little exercise. So
okay, perfect.
I will improve my skill.
Perfect. So this is a full operating system. You can even crash it, let's say. The only problem that you have to reinstall it again. Okay, so be careful when you feel free to do it, but it's good to have a copy. Then Gulinal, I see your hand.
Oh, okay. I was asking a question about VirtualBox error. I got an error after I upgrade my system. I was successfully installed my VirtualBox and with the OsteoLift, but it got an error message which says unable to insert the virtual optical disc.
Able to, okay, probably is not a big issues. So we can, you have the virtual machine running, no? Yes.
Yeah, it's running.
Okay, perfect, it's running. So this little error, we can solve it one by one during the coffee break or even in the end. So
okay.
If they're running now, it's just a terminal, it's important that we have. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so this one we can leave it here. Any other question in this regard? These are, again, very good question, because
yeah, Giuseppe, this is Jaime. Can I ask you something?
Yeah, go ahead, Jaime.
So I'm Ubuntu user.
Yeah.
So the question is if it is better to install a hard drive of this OS GeoLife or just setting the Ubuntu system with all the tools that we need.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow. I know your skill, so you can follow up without virtual machine installation. Okay, just for example, for today, you don't need the virtual machine. You can do everything in the terminal. In case, like Sebastian, you have already Ubuntu, I would suggest you can install it, following the same procedure, and having the virtual machine just in case. And then, if you need, you can shift between your Ubuntu and your virtual machine. So it's going to be easy in the virtual machine because everything is set up there. Everything is going to be the same for you and for the others. Rather, in your Ubuntu, every time you have to try to change something if it's not really in line. Okay. So, for example, you are going to install GDAL manually, you're going to install PK tools, Grass manually. Over there is already installed. For today, you can follow directly in Ubuntu, so don't worry. Just be sure to do git clone to clone the data. Okay.
Okay, but in terms of, let's say I have everything set, all the tools that we need. So in terms of performance, does it make any difference having the pure Ubuntu operating system?
Yeah, in terms of performance, of course, a full installation, a native installation into the hard disk and not a virtual machine is much better. The virtual machine is always, something smaller that is running on top of another operating system. So it's good, and indeed has been developed, the virtual machine in this context, like 10, even more, 15 years ago from developer to test the different software under Windows, under Mac, under Ubuntu, different kind of Windows version and so on. It's not really for big operation, okay? So we always suggest having the virtual machine for learning, and then slowly go into the transition of full installation. Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Okay, perfect. This one is locked because, okay. This is for the virtual machine. Something extremely important also, where you can see is also the sharing folder, and the sharing folder is very important for having your communication together between your operating system. So if you go inside LVM share, you can see that if you create, so this is my native Linux on my system. Okay, so if I create over here a folder like test folder, okay, or a file, and then I migrate inside to the virtual machine, you should have this one completely done correctly. So if you do it, let's use the graphical user interface just in the beginning, then we are not going to use anymore. So if you go inside /media, so actually it's already here, you have a mounted point, you can see that the folder is here. So that's why it's important to have this virtual machine set up correctly, because you can have really a way to communicate, to transfer file between your operating system and the other system, okay? And the virtual machine. Okay, perfect. Anyone has a problem with the virtual machine, with the sharing folder? Are you able to see this one? Probably yes, no?
I don't see mine.
Yeah, me too.
You don't see yours, so you can see this one over here.
I get an error message when I try to list the media.
Okay, so there was, are you sure that there was one? Yes, try to be sure that you can't, you do slash and there is a space over here. Probably there was somebody was not putting a space. So over here, you should be able to see this kind of stuff. If you didn't see, means that you didn't do correctly the installation. So over here, probably when is the sharing folder, you are missing some step, or you didn't click the auto mount or something like this, okay? Okay, so this is something that we can,
it seems that
see.
the slash was the problem for me.
Perfect, perfect. Now we are going to explain all these little commands. Somebody, for example, in the, I think it was the Indian girl, was not having space. So and then there was this kind of error. Okay, no such a file or directory. Yeah, because you know space are important. More space is not a problem, but no space is a problem. Okay, so try always to read what the terminal is giving to you. Okay.
But I cannot see my LVM shared folder in the Osteo environment.
Okay, perfect. So if you can see this one, again, means that this procedure has not been done correctly. In particular, you need to have this folder LVM share. So like create a new folder, add a new folder in your, so over here say, you know, also this step you need to be sure that you are doing. Create a new folder inside the virtual, in your Windows machine, and then link it together inside to the in the VM, okay, and do the auto mount and so on.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, another error that Gonzalo is running is trying to running LL. Okay, LL is not a command; is small letter, not bigger letters. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the different option that we were using. Okay, so if you are in a good stage, you should arrive to this page. It's the one that I was just running. And let's have a look to this command that you were using from the beginning. Okay, so one of the most important one to have the system update is sudo update. Okay, so this, what is, anyone knows the difference between update and upgrade, between these and these?
Update is pulling software, looking for updates in software, and upgrade is actually performing those updates.
Perfect. So very close. So the update is doing a check between the repository, the online repository, and also the one that you have. So the package that you have and the repository that is there is checking which one, and actually it usually is quite fast, okay? Which one is doing, okay? So the password, like I mentioned, the password is user. When you type, you don't see for security, okay? And the user for everybody. So this is the default. Of course, you can change, but then if you change, remember. So for now, not change. So it's not a problem of security. So like you can see now, is checking. These are the officially repository from Ubuntu, from the OSGeo Live, and Ubuntu, as you can see, archive Ubuntu and so on. So this one is not doing any, just checking between what you have and what is in the repository, okay? And then you have the sudo upgrade that is doing the downloading and then the installing, okay? And this is something usually a bit longer. So now is going to finish, and you can say you can apt list upgrade, which one they can be upgrade. Probably I don't have anyone because I just did it like a few hours ago. So probably it's going to say, yeah, maybe just one. Yeah, maybe just one, okay? This is something that you have to do manually. Let's say every 2-3 weeks, okay? Try to keep it, don't pass 6 months without, let's say, an upgrade. If not, you can run in some trouble. So try to do at least once a month, okay? And extremely important, when is doing this operation, especially this one, don't shut down your computer, okay? Don't shut down, and be sure you have the battery on, okay? Because if not, it's going to completely crash the system. So in this case, it's going to crash the virtual machine, okay? So then this one, the VirtualBox, the guest edition is something that you are doing by here, insert guest edition. And these are the ones that are useful to have the enlargement of the screen, so from small to big, okay? And also for the copy paste. You can copy paste from your native operating system to the to the VirtualBox. So also this one, they should working fine. Anyway, if your screen is still small, probably you have to redo something, but we can address it together later on, okay?
Can I just ask again?
Yeah, please.
Because when I did that step, if you can go a little bit back up,
Yeah,
I didn't get this first message about downloading.
Yeah, actually, I also didn't get it. I get it 2 weeks ago, and now I didn't get it. But if you have it, no problem. Yeah, if you have it, if you were receiving this one and your screen is enlarging without problem, then means that is working fine. Okay.
Yeah, okay, because I did an error there, but maybe you can help me in the break. I clicked OK. I clicked OK on the next window, not cancel. So then I got an error message later on.
Yeah, so probably you need to redo the operation. But again, if your screen is enlarging without problem and there is no screening, yeah, so probably you have to redo it again, this operation, okay?
Okay,
and
thanks.
especially this one. Okay, so these two, sudo and this one. You can see if this folder is here, like we were doing before with JD, and then you can enter again inside here. Okay.
Giuseppe, just a quick comment there. If you're running this on Mac, just to say that when I was setting this up, I did run into an issue where this code right here didn't work, and I actually had to go in and find the ISO file and copy it into the proper folder within the VirtualBox in order for it to recognize it as a medium. So if you keep having any trouble with this, just ping us on the Slack. I can send you any resources I found.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. So again, these are mainly people with Mac OS. I don't know how many Mac OS. We don't have it, so we could not really test it. So thanks, Erin, for testing. But I know that Matt was having another problem with Mac, so we will try to address it to all of them during coffee break and so on. But I think we have a quite good level. There was another error with OpenEV, but also this one we are going to test it. It's not needed for now. We are going to test it later on. So, another important point is the Git setting, okay? Lonzu, are you there? Do you want to cover it a bit, this part, and to see if everybody has the Git setting and say what is Git in a few words?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, you can just leave the screen on. I think people already see it. So yeah. This is a part of course management we do in spatial ecology. So we use Git, which is a widely used distributed version control system under Linux. So there are two slides here we want to follow through during the entire course. So the key thing is there are two steps. One is the first time, the other one is after first time. So today, if you haven't done anything to this point, we just go to the first step. The first step will be the git clone command. If you see these slides, there is a small blue box called the basic practice, and there is a bullet saying only the first time. So that's what I mean by now. You go to your virtual machine, follow the command, just copy and paste into your terminal. And this is the first time to pull down the material from the cloud and make a clone to your local copy. Now, keep in mind, this copy is only meant for the communication purpose, meaning we will keep updating the source from the cloud, and your local machine will use this copy to check consistently over time between your machine and the cloud. So this is not for you to work. Don't touch anything here. Just do this command first time. After you finish this one, we go to next slide. If you scroll down a little bit, Giuseppe, it's a basic practice. So this saying routine after first time. So this one is actually to make a working copy for yourself. Now, what it does is you go to this CD IC data. After first time, you already have the IC data. Then you do the git pull. This is a step you do to synchronize your local copy with the cloud copy. Now, this is something you do normally every time before you come to class. If you did it like, 1 day before the class or something, you may see the data, you may receive data already, but we may haven't updated. So keep in mind, just the earlier the version, the better the version is. So keep pull down, even before the class, 1 hour ago or something. This is a synchronization process. Then after that, the next command, there's an rsync. So this is a command to make a local copy, a local working copy for yourself. So what it does is, there's a little hash and dash here. Basically, it does is trying to make a copy, but on the condition that it only copy the folders that are new. So in this way, if you have done something in your local work copy, will not have any impact. That means you can take notes in your local copy, your local working copy. You can also do homework. You can do a project. Whatever you've done there will not have any impact for the communication between your source copy and the cloud copy. So once again, this rsync does the local copy. Once you have the local copy for working, you will copy this one into the media SFLM shared at my IC data. So key difference is my IC data is for you to work, and the IC data is for the synchronization. Pay attention here, because I think Giuseppe already mentioned this mount under media is actually the space outside your virtual machine. So you do not have to worry it will blow up your system. So then you go to this media folder by using cd command, then you can start working over there. Just final words, keep good practice to keep the source copy and the working copy separate. Do not work in the source copy. You can only work in the working copy. Hopefully clear. Any questions, please feel free to shout at us.
Thanks, Noju. So indeed, if you have done correctly, this operation that Lonzu was just mentioned, you can see the copy the SE data. You can see the SE data over here, and you can see also there's /media SF my SE data. So you should be to see both of them. Okay. Once again, if you don't see, this one is important. So, but we will addressing after the coffee break, so we can solve it in the coffee break. Okay. So anyone has some experience in the, some not good experience? Everybody can see. Who cannot see, just raise the hand. Okay, seems that everybody has it. So if everybody's in mute, means that we can continue. Okay, perfect. So let's try to working a bit now with the bash. Okay, so in order to see all the lecture, they're going to be directly pasted in the spatial ecology platform over here. So if you are over here, you can easily click on the bash, this one, Linux operating system as a base for spatial ecology computing, okay? And these one are going to be perfect the same, whatever inside to the SE data, okay? So we will have perfect the same, in particular, this is nothing else than a Jupyter notebook, then later on is converted inside to HTML to make the web page. Now we have here an expert AG in web developing, so he can tell you a bit more about this. But this way is the way to operate from the Jupyter notebook to the HTML. So the bash command, what is the bash? Bash means born again shell, and the shell is nothing else than this window that you see over here. That is the real command line for operating with the operating system. Okay, to make the operating system running and to do something is extremely powerful. You are directly in contact with the operating system. By the command line, just few lines, you can really destroy the full operation. Okay, when you see people in the movie that they are hacker, all of them they're working directly in the terminal over here with all the command. And it's funny because sometimes we can recognize some command that they are using during the movie and so on. But over here is where you can really have full control of the operating system. We have to say the truth that we are not going to, there are millions of commands inside to the bash, but we are going to use mainly the one that are needed for file operation, not for printing setting or network setting or for a VPN interface or this kind of operation. So the only bash command that we are going to use it are just for transfer file, manipulate file, copy file, creating folder. So this, let's say, file management mainly, but feel free to investigate whatever we can do it with the command. Okay, one Something extremely important in general in the Bash language, but not only in all the language, is really the syntax of the language. So in Bash, you have always the typical situation that you have the command, an option, and then the file. Whatever is between square brackets is optional, okay? And rather whatever is just without square brackets, then is the real command that you have to type. So in this context, for example, if I do ls, ls is the command, and if I do -a is going to be my my option for listing. In this case, I list all the file and folder. But if I do ls -a, a stands for all, that I'm listing all the file, also the hidden file, the one that have starting with the dot. Okay. So these are quite handy command that is very important to use. Something also that is important to understand is what the symbol represent, okay? So in particular, the user is the username, okay? In this particular case of the OS Geo is the same user. But for example, on my machine is, you know, is over here, self, okay? My name. Rather over here, the second one, at OS Geo Live is the name of the PC. So in my case, it's Pop OS because I'm using the Pop operating system. Okay, so it's always at and Pop OS. These are very important because you always use it also for communication in the local remote server, the user at this machine. Okay, so try to remember this because they are going to be a little exercise on this. Okay, then after the two dots, we have this symbol that identify the home is the called tilde, and then you have the folder where you are located. Okay, so let's go back into the virtual machine, and over here, for example, I can migrate inside one specific directory. For example, I can do cd desktop, and now you can see that has been changed from home to desktop. So this one is tell you where are you, okay? Rather, yeah, tell you where are you. Something also very important is the command that you can use man to search for some particular command that you don't know, okay, inside to the Bash terminal. So if you do man-k count, is going to give all the command that are dealing with the word count. And then of course you have to scrolling down and see which one you can use it for some particular operation. So for example, if I want to count the number of line, I can see over here, the number of line in a file, I can see that the word, the command WC that stands for word count in this case is going to print new line, word, and bytes for each file, okay? So this is quite handy. And then what you do, you enter directly in the word count to see all the options. Okay, so you can see word count and then the option that you are going to use it and the file. Again, this is the syntax. Pay attention that the syntax also tell you that there is a space over here, and all the options are listed below, and they're starting with always with a dash. Okay, sometimes they have two dash. It is a bit more particular, but most of the time you are going to use the one with one dash most of the time. Okay, so if you do, for example, -L is going to give you something. So now, for example, why is it handing over here? Because it's waiting the name, the file number, the file that I'm going to give. Okay, so pay attention when you are in this situation. If you keep writing, nothing is happening. Okay, so to unlock from this situation, is a super useful command is Control-C, okay? That is bringing back to the original. Okay, some situation you can have also if you are like this, okay? And over here, you get stuck again in this situation. So again, Control-C is bringing you means Control cancel. It means cancel is bringing you back to the position. Okay, so not try. You have to always write after the prompt, after the dollar symbol. Over here where you started, okay? So this command, they can look like a bit dry in the beginning, but then when you start to combine it, we will see later on, they start to make sense, okay? Okay, so yeah, so this is the example that I was just coming right now. Okay, so before to enter in this exercise, let's open the Jupyter Lab, and in this particular contest, we are going to use a special environment that Lonzu is going to explain in these few lines that I pasted in the Slack in order to have the Jupyter Lab working properly. Okay, Lonzu, can you briefly explain this?
Yes, sure. So I think some of you are already familiar with Python. Just for those who haven't got into Python so much, this is a feature that's available in the Python package that allows you to create an isolated environment to run Python. The rationale behind this is pretty much, you want to have another area, like you work on your own, just without interaction with the system. So the virtual machine we have, the OSGeo lab, you already built up, it does come with a system Python, but because system Python is not only for our class purpose, it also have some support for the underlying system. It may have different package dependency. It may have some potential issues with our need. So that's why we want to install or create a virtual environment that's an isolated space that you can work on your own. The way to do it is basically use the apt install Python 3.8-venv. That's just download this particular package in the Ubuntu to create the Python environment. Once you have that, you can start creating environment by launching the command Python 3-m with the name of the environment. For example, in Giuseppe's example, he has a job lab environment, but you can give whatever name you want to give. That's basically the name of your virtual environment. You can say my Python, you can say Python, you can say whatever. But just keep in mind, this is a particular environment you created for yourself, and anything you will do in the future will be only visible inside this environment. Now, that after you finish that command, you already created this virtual environment. Now you have to activate. So in other words, you have to enter this particular room. The way to do it is to use the command source. So you use the source to tell the system you want to get into a separate room, not in the common room or the terminal, go to this Python room, or in more technical words, this is a Python virtual environment. So by launching the command source and this particular path that leads you to this activate, it's actually a file to set up everything correctly for you to go into the right environment. So once you have done that, you can see the terminal will change. So now you see, user at OSGeo Live. After you launch the source command, I'll tell you that you'll be in the virtual environment. See, as Giuseppe shows that, it starts with the name of your virtual environment. And in this case, Giuseppe has this one, but whatever you chose will appear here. So that once this appears in your terminal, you are in your own local virtual environment. Now, once you have this step set up, I suppose everybody have that. And if you have any problems, you can tell us. But I assume everyone done correctly. Then it's to.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yes, please.
I tried to run the first line and I'm getting an error that it says could not open a lock file.
You should use the sudo power.
Okay.
It's a sudo power. It's not like a common user privilege. Actually, you should use a sudo apt install. I think.
Okay. All right. I'll give that a try. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, just keep in mind, everything you do with the system, you should use sudo. For example, anything starts with apt, that's a Ubuntu reserved keyword. So you should use a sudo to initiate that command. All right. So now let's say you have sourced the environment correctly. You have activated by seeing this particular symbol in front of your user at OS/Geo Live. Now you are ready to install this Jupyter Lab environment. Before you do that, it's recommended to update your pip system. Pip is nothing else, just a Python package manager. It does all the management inside concerning the package dependency. For example, to install Jupyter Lab, you need a Jupyter Core, you need many other dependencies. Pip will take care of that. But in order to have the most updated version, you should update pip by itself. So basically using pip install -u means update the current pip system. So after you have a Python, you should have a default pip, but that may not be the latest version. If you just update your system, it should be the latest, but just to be on the safe side, it's recommended to update one more time. If it's already updated, it doesn't do anything, it just pass away. If it's outdated, you'll see some output from the terminal saying it's updating. By the time it's finished, updating is complete. Once you pass this step, you should use pip3 install Jupyter Lab, and that will just install Jupyter Lab. I don't expect any issues here because I think Giuseppe and I tested already. Once you have that, you are ready to go with the class. Do we have any errors or problems with already installed on my machine? I see there's something on Mac. More than happy to talk us through. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's not a conflict. You have already Python, that's fine. And this one is just create a virtual environment. It's like a small room outside your big Python room, so that whatever you do in this small room doesn't impact your big room. So your Python or system Python is already for you, serving for your system purpose, your operation, many other things. You don't want to create any conflict due to your own operations. That's why we want to do this so-called virtual environment. It's kind of a small simulated environment inside your big Python, but it's isolated. I hope I explained that well myself.
Yeah, the concept you're describing makes total sense. I just don't. I think it's the fact that I'm not running the virtual machine yet, which is the root of my issue.
Okay. But do you think you can install a virtual machine, or you prefer not to? If you don't want to, but there are other ways around. You can talk about it if you really.
Yeah, I think in the coffee break we should talk so I don't derail your guys' course right now, because I think it's basically due to the M1 architecture. I have a newer Mac which uses M1 versus kind of the older school Mac, which I think works just fine with VirtualBox.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's talk about during break. It's individual case.
Yeah, thanks, Lonzo. Yes, but anyway, even in small, where you can keep using copy paste from the web page and also in the Mac, because they are going to be very small command to run it. Okay, so at this point, you should have the Jupyter Lab ready to go, and in this particular task, we are going to open and see directly. So now, try to follow me in the change in the directory. This is going to be one of the first command that we are going to use it. So we are going to enter inside to cd/media, and one particular point to start to become really fast with the terminal. And I will going to tell you a few tips in order to become this. This is one of the first. is the use of tab. Okay, the tab are the two lines that are crossing over here, like on top of the control and shift. So when you press it, tab is going to complete. Okay, so you don't really need to write media. You just need to press tab and it's going to complete it automatically. Okay, when now it's going to complete it automatically because media is the only word over there. Okay, so now, for example, that there are, I know that there are more folder. If you press twice the tab really fast, tac tac, is going to list. Okay, so again, now I'm going to enter in the SF media and you press again tab. Okay, and then again, now you are going to enter again. I have one folder that is the test that I used. I created just half an hour ago. Now I'm going to do my SE data, okay, and again tab to list again what I'm using. So the tab is very important for two reasons. One, become faster, and also avoid error. If I write exercise, Excel, and then I forgot something, and then I keep doing, is going to say the folder, the file or directory is not exist. So if the typing, if the tab doesn't work, means that the errors is even before than the terminal. So over here, I can press tab, is going to complete. If I'm going XR and I press tab, it is not completing, means the error even before. So don't keep writing sees and try to enter, the file is not there. Okay, so try to use the tab for becoming fast and also for avoiding error. Okay, so one point for the R user, this one is also working for R, the tab inside Linux. Inside Mac, I'm not 100% sure, but it's not working Python. Because Python use the tab to make the indentation. So, but it's very useful for complete the word, the command. Okay, can be used for command, but can be used also for the folder. So, for example, if I want to list all the GDAL command, I just type GDAL, and then I press tab twice, 1 and 2, and it's going to list all the commands that are starting with GDAL. So it's very common. You say, it's going to be one command for printing, but I don't remember which one it is, and just tapping, and then you say, okay, it's print environment, for example. Okay. Okay, so this is something that we can see. So, and you can become really fast. I'm going to always use tab. Aphrodite, are you using tab or not? Yes, Aphrodite say yes. Okay, cool. I'm going to ping from time to time all of you guys in order to have a bit more interaction, you know. So now at this point, we are going to open this file, bash intro, with the Jupyter Lab. Okay, so you write Jupyter Lab space, space. Is it space? Yes, space, and then the name of bash. Again, now look, I'm going to use bash and then press again twice, and be careful because there are two, inter and intro. We're going to use intro, so be careful, there are two. So now we are going to use intro OSGeo. Intro bash intro. Yes, OSGeo. So be careful that there are two, inter and intro. So now that we have these two, we can open the Jupyter Lab. Okay. So the Jupyter Lab is a Jupyter-based graphical user interface. Okay, that is helping you to operate directly. And the beauty is that this one is nothing else than a file. Then later on, inside to this web system that we build up, we can transfer directly this Jupyter Lab in a web page. So it's very handy for this kind of operation. Jupyter Lab and Jupyter in general was built for Python language, okay? So in order to operate inside a Bash operating system, we need to put the question mark over here, okay? So when you do man count, is going to enter whatever is over here, and you can see. Of course, again, this one is just a symbol to say to Jupyter Lab that is going to be a bash command, okay? And it's going to be the same for this man WC that we already see, okay? So over here, you can see that I'm going to list ls, and is listing, for example, all the files that are over here, okay? So now I think, yeah, that are over here. So again, if you are working directly inside to the terminal, you don't need to use this one, okay? So this is very handy for this, you don't need to use this one, but it's just inside to the Jupyter Python, Jupyter Lab, okay? Okay, so yeah, here I think I make a mistake in entering. So let's have one break now, and then we keep carrying, and I will tell you, I think we need to close again the Jupyter Lab and open in a new directory. If not, it's becoming a bit more complex. I know, okay, we can keep working on this one. Let's keep working until here. So something extremely important inside to the terminal bash is that whatever you listed into the terminal by this command can become, is calling redirect of the standard output, can become a file, okay? So over here, if I do the same command that is going to be here, and I do ls my list, okay, is not going to print anything, but whatever is printed by ls is going to be stored inside here, okay? So now I can use the command more to list whatever I write inside to my list, okay? So let's see in the terminal what I'm doing and what I'm saying. So let's enter again is cd/media and then sf, and then if you see, I'm using the tab, my SE data, and then we were inside exercise, okay? So over here, I'm going to have my list. Here you have, the file has been created inside here, okay? So now if I list this file, is nothing else than whatever is listed here, okay? So this is something extremely important. Whatever you enter, and whatever is printed inside to the terminal can become a file by using the symbol, this kind of symbol over here. That is means redirect of the standard output, okay? So if you are doing, for example, you are going to print the classic hello world, okay? Typical example. This one is going to print the word hello world over here, and you can redirect the hello world inside a file that is going to become my file.txt, okay? And now in my file.txt is going to be my file hello world, okay? So this is quite handy for this kind of operation. So this one is extremely important. It's very the basic, because we are going to use it, all this bash command, especially with for geographical operation, for GDAL, MPK tools, to have operation inside to the directly within the power of the operating system. So rather than using Python, for example, you can use bash directly with GDAL MPK tools that have been written in C and C++, to have a full powerful tools to do cropping, mosaicing, band band combination and so on. Okay, so this is quite handy in this aspect. So something also quite handy is this other symbol that is double and means that is going to be add whatever to the file. Okay, so in the previous case, I was, every time that I was doing this, it was every time that I do this, bash quite often is overwriting 95% of the time without a warning. Okay, so be careful. But in the moment that I'm doing this operation twice, is going to be append. Okay, so by this operation, I'm appending again, and how I can see, for example, I can see that I can see over here that my list now, for example, if I want to count the word count of my list, my list, I know, because yes, less my list. So if I count, you know, if I count the word, the line of this file now are 37, if I run it again, okay, they are going to be even more. Sorry, this one, enter. They're going to get increasing, not really, my list. Okay, and probably I'm not in the same directory. So let's do it over here. Okay, so I do WC -L. And I count how many lines I have over here, and I run. Why is it not running? Oops. Something is getting over here. When it's like this, means that there is something that is not really working properly. So I think when there is this little asterisk, okay. But anyway, let me try to address it over here in the command line. So every time that I'm going to do ls over here, and I'm going to append to the file, so I can see that my file is growing. Okay, so you can see now it's 113 lines. If I do it again, it's going to increase again. So this is quite handy for this kind of operation. This is a text file and can be opened also with a file more. Okay, so this is very handy because even huge file with a billion of file, you can keep looking by keep pressing enter, and when you are done, you can press Q to get out. Okay, so pay attention about this, that are quite handy, this command for the text file. So don't keep opening text file with the old with other way, like with Notepad or with the gedit. Try always to use file command bash command to open text file. That in particular there is more. Okay, that you can, very handy. There is less also, that is very handy. And the beauty of this one, that you can go even up and down into the file with the arrow, yes and no. And this is going to open gigabyte of file, because it's not open the full file. Whenever you do it in Excel or you do it in Notepad, is going to loading all the file into the memory and then use the full memory to open the file. And if it's 2 GB file, you are going to use 2 GB file of your RAM. Okay, rather with this one is going to open just whatever you visualize, and this is very handy to have it. You can use head to see the first 10 lines, or you can use tail to use the end of the line. Okay. Okay, so so let's we stop over here. Let's have a coffee break, and we can deal.
Sorry, Giuseppe, may I ask you one?
Yeah.
question.
Please,
Just
yeah.
for curiosity, I saw you used also the command line cat for reading the TXT. What is the difference between more, less, and cat?
Very good question. So cat is going to print the full file. So if you have 1 billion of row, it's going to keep rolling the 1 billion, okay, until the end, okay. And in this particular case, okay, now is a bit small, this one. You can, as soon you cut, okay, as soon you cut, you can, I mean, the full list that is running, you can interrupt with Control C again. So it's going to list again. Rather more is going to list just the beginning of the file, and then you can keep scrolling inside to the file, and you can see the percentage over here increasing, okay, until the end. Of course, now if I keep pressing, I write to the end, but if it's really huge, I will see 0% and 1% in this context, okay. So there is also, again, there is also this one, they say less, how it is, Lonzo, less is more than, no, more is less than more. I don't remember that there is this funny.
Less is more.
Less is more, yeah, less is more because it's more, less is, you know, you can do more stuff. You can go down, but you can go also up into the file. Rather more, you can only go down. But anyway, these are the most important. Less, I repeat, less, then more, okay, then head, and then tail, okay. So all this one, and we are going to see the use of this one. And of course, there are options. For example, the -12 is going to list the last 12 of the file, and so on. If you use that, just if you want just the last one, is going to list just txt file. Okay, cool. Okay, let's have a coffee break, or and then the people that have some problem or question, they can remain. We met at 35. Let's have almost 15 minutes. We met at 35. Cool. This one, I don't know why it's remaining like this.
Yeah, ask a question.
Do any idea why it's not running? Interrupt the kernel. Run. Yeah, I think it was just stuck because there was more. Yeah, I think the more inside here is a bit.
Do you want to stop recording, Giuseppe?
All right. Thank you. The pause.
Giuseppe, can I ask a question?
Great, thanks, Mo. So over here we can see the use of special character that is disable. Let's say disable with a quotation, with a double quotation. Okay. Okay, so there are some other special character, or also they also call it, write down also this one, they also call it regular expression, okay. And you can use it also in combine, and some of the regular expression are really shared between R and Python and Bash, but sometimes it's quite complicated to use regular expression inside Python for Bash, you know, is becoming a bit complex. So try to always use the regular expression directly in the Bash for listing file, selecting some specific row and some specific file or folder. And of course, now in listing folder, these are I think are file. Yes, so this is a file. So if I do, this is another handy character. If you do LL rather than LS, is going to list, and try to use it, is going to list, you know, long information about that file. So in particular, for example, is going to list all the information about this file, and in particular, when has been created, the size, okay, yes, the size, when has been created, the size, and also over here, the if the file can be written, or is a written file or reading file, or is a directory, okay? So in this particular case, for example, I can see that this one is a directory because there is the D. Rather, all the other are file. Okay, so if I go inside to my home, I can see, so inside to the home, I can see that these are file, these are folder. The one without anything are file, folder again. And in this particular case, the one that started with a dot means that they are hidden file. Okay, so you cannot really see the hidden file. And usually the hidden file, you don't really need to touch it most of the time. They are for file data management are not really needed. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so something extremely useful in Bash, and it's something that we will use it a lot, is the so-called pipe. Okay, so in this context, when you use pipe, let's try to make an example very, very handy. So if I have a file, okay, I have a file that I'm going to store all this information. I'm going to store all this information in a file that I'm going to call it tmp.txt. Okay. So now my file is going to have all these row. Okay. And I can keep listing with more. Okay, it's very short, so it's going, no, it's quite long. No, it's quite long. So as you can see now with more, I can scrolling down. I'm not using the RAM. I can scrolling down, and this is going to be the percentage. To get out from this, press Q. Okay, Q, you are able to get out. So so now if I want to count how many lines this file has, I can do WC-L, and I can count how many lines has, 2,800. Okay, so now how I can combine these two commands, then, and again, they were these, and they were these two commands, okay? If you want to write two commands in the same line, you can use the semicolon. Okay, so how I can combine this operation with this one, with the piping. Okay, so what does it mean? That I can write perfect the same, but with the pipe. And the pipe means for piping the result of one command to inside to the other one. So this one is going to execute the command of listing, and the second one is going to execute the command of writing, of counting the row. So now one question for you guys, for the audience. So you have this option and you have these. Which one is going to be faster? And why? Question for everybody.
I believe the second one, the file is not written in the memory, right?
Perfect. So every time that we write something into the hard disk is going to be slower. Okay, rather this one actually is not writing any file. Over here is writing this file. So of course now is, if we count, even with there is a command to you for this kind of operation, time. Okay, that is pretty, and even if you compare the two, is going to be so small, the file, so you don't see the difference. But if you have a bigger file, you can see the difference. Okay, so in this way, what you're going to see, that is, this one is executing to the RAM, and then the second one is going to print just directly into the terminal. Okay, so we will see how to use this. Word count is very, very common use for text file, but can be used also for counting pixel line in a raster file, can be used for, you know, counting how many matrix, that is very huge, how many rows it has. So it's very common to even how many files I have. You know, you have the typical situation where you have very huge TXT file number, you want to see how many there are, you do this one. You do how many files, so you can put even asterisk here, you can put if they start with 2000, for example, and you count. Okay, in this case, there is no, actually, why can you say two? Now we will see, because you find one file, okay? Yes, one file over here. So this is very handy for this kind of operation and counting. So if you have a JPEG over here, you can say all the JPEG of your collection of photo that you do with your mobile, you can count this way. Okay, so it's very, of course, now I don't have any JPEG over here, so it's not counting. Or check out this one. I can, let's see how many JPEG I have in all my computer. So I can write down, because this one is not here. So find in all my computer, my home, let's say my home, all the file with, let's do good TIFF, that is something that we are going to use. Okay, so over here is going to list all the file in any directory, directory. So it's going to list this one in SC data. Now if we go up, they're going to be also in some other, like here, for example. Okay, and then I can do count, WC, and you count the number of files. So it's very handy for data management and data checking. So I really suggest you to use it in this context. Okay, good. So anyone is testing already the command for some particular operation? Aphrodite, you were using this for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody else was using for. So this is also very handy. And we can see, okay, due to that, for example, now we are getting in some particular contest. So anyone, if I want to get only the one with ET, I can use the command grep, to select only the file in this list with the list ET. Okay, so this one is going to be listing only the ET. So again, the find command is searching everywhere from the home down, and then over here you can use the name and the asterisk. So try to use quite often, rather than, as you can see, most of the, no, not most, all the command that you do it, usually you would do it over here, no? Over here there will be the search command. Now I don't know where it is. In my system is over here. Okay, probably somewhere over here in the tools, somewhere. But you have, usually you have the searching option that you can type over here. So try to do always, especially in the beginning, and this is going to be the task of the homework, to get familiar with all these kind of command. Okay. Okay, so anyone was going to suggest some use of pipe that can be really handy? Anyone? Okay, we will see in some other example. Okay. So if these concepts are clear, let's move to this second one, manipulate text file in Bash, that I think is going to be a bit more funny, let's say, more interesting. Okay, so let's.
So I have a question before
yes,
we move on. So how come when we were using just ls earlier to find the different files or to list the files, we didn't have to put the file names in quotations, but then when we're using find or grep, we put
very good question. So find, actually you insert the location, but it's going to be from this location to down. In this case, the tilde is the home. So in our case, can be home/user. Okay. So find is going to list any file having the TIFF, but not just on that folder, but from that folder to down into the hierarchical tree. Okay. So very good question. Rather, ls, if I do ls over here, is not going to list anything because it's going to list only over here in this directory, and I don't have it doesn't go down. So if I want to go down, there is a way. It's a bit not really efficient, but sometimes I test it rather than using find. If you do like this, or you keep adding one by one the folder. Okay, so you say in any folder, and then until you find, and probably until you put another one, it will tell you not anymore. Okay, so this is another way to fake a bit the find. Okay, Lonzo now I will say, oh my God, he will say with this example. But anyway, this is the way of doing. Okay. Yes, very welcome this question. So feel free to ask this question. This kind of question, if you have, or some other in that the same line. Okay. Okay. So we can go with the other with a handy exercise. Let's say with a handy exercise. So let's enter into the and now we have to open the Jupyter lab. So when you want to kill the Jupyter lab, so let's kill it in order to be sure that we open correctly. You do Control-C into the terminal that was still open. You do yes. Okay. Maybe I was not fast. Yes. Okay, now it's shutting down completely. Okay, so let's be sure that we enter, you are inside here and you open the Jupyter lab bash int, not in, but now enter. So be careful about the two. Jupyter lab bash enter OSJ. Okay, so now is opening, and now I should open perfect the same. So it's opening. I enter also here for some help with it. Yeah. Copy selection. Okay.
Excuse me?
Yes, please.
Is there a way to put the process in the background so you can keep on using the same bash window, or is it better to open a new window?
Okay, so you can, very good question, but usually is quite handy if you, I mean, if you can use very well the keyboards is fine. Alonso, if I do Control-Z the background, it should work. We can try, or even common to have two, 3 terminal open. Okay, so this is something really handy, because then I never use the background, not very often, because then I forgot, and then I close the terminal, and then the background is also gone. So rather, if you have it open over here, but the way of doing something, put something in background is Control Z, and then you do BG, okay? Control Z and then BG is sending to the background. So as you can see, for everybody, this is a symbol of the background. Okay, so if you want having something run in the background, you can put this symbol. We can see some particular application. Let's see if we open it, some file in QGIS or in OpenAV, and you can do like this. And then to bring back, you can do FG, you do foreground. Okay, foreground is bringing back to where you were before. So I don't use so much, but due to this, because then if you close it, also the background is going to be killed. And then I don't remember. So it's very, I use it quite a lot, the Alt tab to navigate between terminal. So, and then I open more terminal rather than not having many background. I don't know, Alonso, do you use many background?
Yeah, well, there are different ways to do it. I mean, I think Control Z is probably the simple one because you already started, you don't change your mind, you just flip back to the background. Yeah, and the other one, just use that symbol what you mentioned. There's also no hub, but
yeah,
I think it's enough. Yeah.
Perfect. So now we are going to work on this one. I will use the terminal from time to time, but I think now we can easily work over here. So now we have this file. Okay, so that is the typical file, quite big file. So we can even check in the terminal like this. So we have this file, ls.txt, and then average. Okay, so you can list over here, and you can see that it's quite a big file, 30,000 or 50,000 something. So it's not very huge, but it start to become. So it's always good to make a smaller file and try to work with a smaller file. So how you do it by running head. Okay, head 1000 is going to run. So it's going to create just this file that is going to be input. Okay, so now if I do input over here, it's going to have just how many row? 1000. Because it's one level up. Yeah, it's going to have 1000. I just created this file. Okay. So over here, you can also adding in the terminal over here, feel free also to add other command. You know, if you do it over here, the wc-l, and you put the input here, it's going to print immediately. Okay. Yeah, but sometimes, yeah, be careful because this is the case that I know, my mistake. You can put again this one, because again, this one, they are going to tell you that they are going to be bash command in Jupyter, because before I was not putting, and it was giving to me the Python error because I didn't put the bash command over here. Okay, so this is quite, we don't really.
Hello, guys. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Giuseppe probably dropped off for some reason. We can hold on for a second because I'm a host also. Just for this gap time, does anybody have questions or something I can help answer? Just waiting for Giuseppe coming back. Ah, he's coming back, I think.
Yeah, I lost for a second.
Giuseppe there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, off a moment. Oh, now back, good.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened. Anyway, good. 1 second. No. Are you there? I'm sorry, I have to share. Okay, share. Okay, perfect. So I was scared. So at this point, if we can see the head of the input, okay, input. Input to ticket. So we can see that is a text file that I was using in the past, and is going to be the NUTS region of Europe. So for polygons inside Europe, the year, the months, number of fire, and the Barnett area. B area stay for Barnett area. It was from my PhD. So over here is going to use it, it's going to recording how many Barnett area in kilometer square is going to happen in this particular month and year for this particular region of Europe, okay? So at this point, we can start to play with this file. Is the typical situation. You count how many lines, as soon you get the file, something cool of the something cool of this file that you can also count more than one file. So for example, if you do dash asterisk, this is very handy. And the beauty that is giving you also the total. So this is very handy when you have many TXT file. So you can count all of them and it's giving to you the total immediately. So you don't need to do some other operation. So so if you don't put a -L that stay for line, is going to give you information also about the word and the character. Okay, so sometimes I use word inside for the counting the number of column, for example, because if someone is missing, so if, for example, I was doing input this one, so of course this one is going to be 5,000 because it was 5 line, sorry, yes, 1,000 line and 5 row. If one row was missing, if one of these digits was missing, immediately you can see that is missing over here. So the number of field is not anymore, is not enough. So this one number of character, I didn't use so much. But it's very handy for these two situations, okay? Okay, so something also really handy is when you want to sorting the file. So from the largest to the smallest or other around. So be careful about the sorting because you can sorting in so many ways. It's so easy making mistake, or at least you will get the output, but you will not getting the output that you want. And sometimes due to the number of the number construction is not very handy to have it, to build up. So over here in this context, so for example, we do it with the command man-k sort, you can enter into the command line, okay? And you can see that the sort is the one that you wanted. Then you do man sort, and you can read all the different options, okay? So again, be careful about this one because it has so many options. Pay attention about this. Quite often, especially when we do the bash command, and we know already the bash command, and we don't, we just want to see the option. We don't go to Google. We don't search in Google. We search over here because it's much faster. And also, if you do, people already in bash, maybe they don't know this one. If you do the backslash and then you write the word like count, I don't know if there is the word count, then you do enter, is going to highlight all the word, and you keep pressing N. Okay, in this case you have only one, but then you can scrolling in the different. So then you do Q and you get out. So if you do man sort, let's do another one like number. Want to search number, let's say. Okay, so I can really see these two value, and then you keep do n, the n symbol letter, and then you can go up, and then you can read more carefully. So it's very, and then q again to fast. So it's very handy to search for this kind of operation. So in particular, so this is the manual sorting. In particular, the one that is more common use it is, I will show you, is this one, sort. The key stay for the keywords. In this case, the keywords of the sorting, so the column. So in this case, you do sorting minus K2. So you repeat 2 times the column. Be careful, and I will explain why. And then you put the input txt, okay? So this one is going to sort based on this column, 2007. You put twice, because if not, it's going to sort it in this one, then on this, then on this, then on this. And then, so you don't really need it quite often, okay? Also in this case, you have it already sort of sorted, so probably you don't need so much. So you repeat the second based on the year, okay? So you can do different kind of sorting. The default is not the numerical sorting. Be careful about this. It's the binary sorting. Indeed, for example, if you do number 5, that is this row, okay? You can see that there are all the ones starting with 0, then with the 7, and then, so it's not a real sorting like we would imagine, based on binary information. And also this one, we don't really use it. Most of the time we use the usual one, that is minus G. Be careful, G stay for generic, and is going to sort it in a proper way, even scientific number. Because if you don't put the G, you put the N, the scientific number, the one with the E, they're going to be not sorted correctly, okay? So always use the G as a sorting. The sorting operation, Lonzo, do you want to add a few words about the algorithm behind the sorting? There are different kinds that has been updating through the years.
Yeah, I think I'm fine. If you want, I don't know anything much about those ones.
And this one is already parallelized inside to the bash system. So as soon you try to sort in a really huge file, it's going to use multi-core operation. This has been added, Lonzo, like 3-4 years ago. Before it was not parallelized, and it was taking quite a lot of time. Rather now is very is very fast also for huge file. I mean, still also because the sorting has to crossing all the file together, all the number. So it's very not an easy solution, okay? Of course, then if you want to see just the beginning of the file, so the small file head or the tail. Okay, so you can see the small and the tail. So largest file and smallest file. So this is something that is very common to do it in text manipulation for, you know, for storing, for understanding which are the outlayers of this file, outlayer, or maybe the largest file, bigger, and something also very good. We can even try. So let's create a file that are two files. So copy first file, you do 1, and then we create another file perfect the same. So now we have 2 files, and we have input 1 and input 2. Let's do it. If I do it sorting like this, is getting to me. I think so. Sort minus K 2,2. Let's see if he's giving to me the 2 file already or only 1. Yeah. So anyone understood what I'm doing? Can anyone comment? I did this, and now I'm doing this, and then this. Can anyone commenting what I'm doing?
You're sorting. Well, you created 2 new files, and then you're sorting by the second column, and then counting cumulatively the amount of lines in both files.
Perfect. Perfect. So I was not sure if this one was going to work. So I'm doing, I did a very fast. So like this, I'm going to sort one file, the one. Like this is going to sort 2 files, okay? But it's going to be possible to sort 2 files in the same moment. And now I did it, I just, create 2 files perfectly the same. And then with the question mark, I say, let me try to sort. Indeed, it's sorting 2 files because you have 2 headers. So what does mean that I don't need to do any for loop, okay, to sorting more than 2 files. Okay, we will see that this kind of clever way is very handy in Bash. Actually, I have to say the truth, I discovered quite late. I never come to my mind to test it. So, but this is the way how you test it in this case, okay?
Giuseppe, can you use the asterisk there? Is that interchangeable?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Over here, probably now is going to get, maybe it's getting just these 2 files. Okay, how I can do? Can do ls. Okay, I can have, actually it's getting also the input txt. So if I do the asterisk over here, it's going to use 3 files. Okay, and perfect the same. So for example, if I use the command grep stay for selecting a particular word. Okay, so I want to select or a number, even a number, I want to select this one. Okay, this one is going to select in many, actually is going to tell you also in which file is selecting. So you don't need any for loop through the file in order to use many of the bash command. Okay, just insert the right regular expression is going to count, in this case, how many. And of course, now you won't count how many there are. You can do, okay, give me count how many there are. You give 3. Okay, so this is how you counting. Or you don't know, let's suppose that, let me take this one, for example, 09. That is a bit, you have more. Okay, so now you have 09 that can be listed in input 1, in input 2, can be listed everywhere. So now if I want to just input over here, how I can do it? So I want to, from this, I want to retrieve only the one from input 2. Anyone?
Well,
I
you
can
just
pipe.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I can pipe then. Anyone? I can use the command grep to select through the row. Okay, the grep command search into the row. So in this case, I can put input txt2, we say input 2.txt. So it's going to list only the one from grep txt2, and then you count. Okay, and then you count. Okay, so the beauty of the bash that you can really pipe in many command, and the output of the one is going to be executing the other, and so on. Usually 4 or 5, then you create a file, then because also becoming a bit messy to think, and you can come in some error or you don't see, so it's better to. But sometimes it's happened that they did 4, 5, 6 piping through the one to the other. So it's the same concept when in R you do between you including brackets and in Python too. But over here in Python, in Bash, we can really count in a fast way. Okay. So these are all examples that are here. Some are, I'm just improvise a bit, but more or less are perfect the same over here. Anyone that is already trying with his data, or do you have any big data of text file in this case? These are mainly text file operation, or file counting, you know, that you want to try, you are trying to think to use it already. Anyone has an example that want to share, or maybe just say that it was using, say, this one can be good too, and you tell me for what. Anyone? The Sebastians? Any idea? Chomin? Oh, Jaime, tell me where you were using. For sure you were using for something.
Yeah, I have used grep, but now with your example, I was wondering, because you are using grep and then you pipe and then you use again grep. So for big data, the question is if the expressions can be used just once. And for big data, if this is more efficient computationally speaking, you know what I mean? So just one grep, 09 from input all, and then only input 2 instead of piping again to grep.
Yes. So you want to say I can do, yes, for one and then counting, but you know, then you have to do 2, and then, so in that case you have to do the for loop. So they can be, but you know, they need to be really gigabyte of data.
Yeah, so my rationale was, if you can use grep, yeah, okay, the expression is 09 and you have, yeah, okay. I was just thinking if you can use like multiple expressions, like find this and this other thing.
Yes, yeah. In grep you can use, actually it's quite handy to do this one. A good idea that you mentioned, the dash E 09 and dash E again 03, for example. And it's going to be 0903. But actually this is also beauty. If you do dash V, is without the 03 and 09. Okay, so it's excluding everything that does not 09 and 03. So in fact, if you check, it will not be 0903. Okay, so pay attention that, for example, sometimes you have to be clever in this aspect. If you want the 03, but you want only the one from this column and not this one over here and here, how you can do it? Anyone?
Can you add the column identifier, like the?
Yes, but that one is the difficult way. I mean, I don't know if the grep has the this is something that we need to search. If a grep has a specifying which column, I'm not sure, but there is one that is there with grep, but you just see, you have to see. Anyone?
Can you specify that it should be only 03 and nothing before or after?
Bravo, very good. Yes, indeed. I mean, remember, the space is a space, it's not nothing. Okay, so very good. So if you specify nothing before and nothing after, okay, you can do it. And especially there is one for the first. That one I remember. For the first, there is the hat. This one, if you do D20, okay, probably is not searching anything, but if you do the D, it's going to be only in the beginning of the row. And then there is another one in the end. I use it once, but maybe it's like this, but I don't remember. Maybe it's the same. You do 9 in the end. Yeah, it's not this one. I use it one, but I don't remember. But you can search. But this one is for the beginning of the row, but it's not there because there is no row. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Erin, you are using this one. I don't know if she's still here.
Yeah, I use grep, but I mainly use it inside of R, so I don't operate from the bash as much, but I use grep fairly often for like cleaning things up inside data.
Perfect. So all these operation, when we are using on the opposite, of R or Python, is really when you have a big folder with many files and you want to do a fast checking, this kind of manipulation, fast manipulation with before to enter, because in R, what you have to ingesting the file, one by one. Okay, there will be also some procedure to do it in all the folder, but they have to be ingested. When they are ingested, your RAM is already boom. Over here is immediately. You can count, and I can show you, actually, we have an exercise where you can see how with big file, you can, many files, 30,000 files, you can really manipulate without big issues, let's say. It's taking a bit of time, but it's nothing compared to Python, to R. So it's for this kind of manipulation is really handy. Somebody else is thinking
Yes.
in this line?
Giuseppe.
Yes,
Me.
please.
Do you know how to grab special characters such as tab?
Okay, so this is something that we need to search. Good question. The tab, the symbol of tab is this.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm not sure how to do it. We need to search and check it. It's probably something like this. And also the tab, I think, yeah, now I cannot simulate because I don't have any tab. I mean, I can do like this. Emacs is another command for, so I can do like this. You say tab. Okay, and then I don't think this one will work.
No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's right.
But the tab, I think, is nothing. Tab is nothing else than more than one character, more than one space. Okay, so for example, now this one is, is selecting. No, it's not selected. Yeah, so this one is select. Look, it's different. The tab. It's something that we need to search. I never don't use so much. So any other suggestion on this direction? Yes, how you were thinking to use it is command. Anyone say, I have a folder full of text file that I need to do something?
Well, something that I used to do, if I may, it's when I try to figure out which packages I have installed, I used to do search apt and then pipe apt search, pipe grep, and I don't know, whatever.
Perfect. So yeah, so because apt search, no, but search apt cache, no, cache search, and you type the word, no. But this one is searching in the, not in my machine, in the,
yeah, it's yeah. But I mean, it's something that I used to do sometimes. That's all.
Yeah. So what Tommy is going to say, that you can use grep for a file, for a specific file, or you can use grep also for some operation into the system. Okay. So in this case, operator cache search is going to search all the file, all the package, but not on my computer, on the repository that start with Python 3, and then I don't know, and then I can count how many there are, or I can see how many have the word, you know, the word size, for example. Okay, it's going to list 4 of them, 5 of them. So it's quite often, and to use it for this, it's very good for logging when you have a log file with different error and you want to grab an error. So quite often, for example, we have the GDAL and grass error are in capital letter, in uppercase letter, error. So you do error and then you do your log file. Okay, now it's going not to search anything, but you search in all the log file that you have where you have this kind of word error. So in the high performance computing, when you're running several jobs, you can get several log file that then is going to be quite hard to check it. Okay, cool, very good example. Okay, so let's see the use of variable. Okay. So the variable, this is a concept that I think is quite familiar for you guys. So in terms of what is a variable, due to that you are coming from different languages, is pretty the same. So in the Bash language, the variable is identified by a word following by equal sign. So in this case, var equal to 21. Okay. So be careful here, no space. I think it doesn't need it. Okay. Give you the error. So always no space when you identify the variable. And then over here, you can reprint the variable. So this is very handy. In R is a bit annoying that you have to do the assign and the get to recall the variable. So sometimes it can be, so here it's a bit more straight. And this is very handy, or one of the main reasons of identify a variable is for the for loop. Okay. And something very handy that we will see, you can also identify a command and then assign the result of this command to the variable. Okay. So over here you can do, for example, okay, let me write grep 2007 is going to tell you, you know, how many I have in input txt. So I'm going to tell, it's going to tell it I have n variable, n 189. So all these results can become my variable. Okay, so whenever you do like this, you can say var equal to the result of this command become a variable. Okay, and this is very handy to make complex operation for the for loop. And then you do, okay, echo $var is becoming the variable. Okay, so for example, what I'm going to tell you, for example, if I have this one, I can do, you know, grep 89, or just this can become, all to this one can become one by one, can become the input of a for loop. Okay, so let's see the for loop in a really simple way. So be careful about the for loop in Bash is always identified by the for and closing with the done. Okay. Rather in Python, you don't have the closing of the done, but you have just the indent. This indent is not compulsory in Bash. You can also write without indent. So you can do it even in the command line like this, or running here. And I put a hand over here to just printing just the beginning, okay? So you can even put more line over here, 20. Okay, so over here you can put more lines. So here, for example, you can do it, and what this loop is doing in particular, this or this one. So I'm doing for var is my variable in 2005, 2006, 2007, grep the file and count. So what is going to do is going to grep my variable 2005. I have 121 fire. 2006, so row, yeah, 2006, 280, 2007, 189. Okay, so in this way, it's going to be checking how many file row you have in each single file. So this is very handy for this kind of operation. You don't need to import in the file in R and to do this. So you can really screening the file. So this is when you want to list it, but there is also another syntax. Is quite a bit is a bit a C syntax, let's say derivation, where you have for var from 2000 until 2008 increase every one. So this means every one. So it's going to be 2001, 2005, 2006, and so on. Okay. And this one you can run, and what is happening that in each line, okay, in each line is going to append to this file. Okay, the same for loop you can do perfect the same, but rather than appending in each iteration, you can append in the end. So I can insert one of these. Yeah, here. So you can do perfect the same. So check out this one. You can insert perfect the same, but you can do like this. Okay, so these are perfect the same. Okay, but can you tell me the difference between these and this one? Anyone? The output is the same, but there is some differences in the execution.
Is the first one you're appending a file and the second one you're creating?
Perfect. So this one, every time that does an operation is appending. Okay. Rather this one, what is doing? JD.
Aren't you just creating a new file or overwriting that file?
Yes. So this one, yes, both of them are correct. So this one, the file is creating just in the end of the full for loop. Okay. Rather this one, it just every time that does one number is appending. Every time it does one number is appending. Okay. So which one is more convenient? Okay, if the file is smaller, this one, because everything is stored in the RAM until is ending the for full loop and then is writing in one shot. Rather this one, if this file is very big, then you know it's going to every time reading the full input again. Okay, so be careful about this, that this file, this remove is convenient for what? Anyone? Marlene, you tell me now why there is this one here.
You mean me or no?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm assuming that not to append to the existing input underscore VC.
Perfect, because if you run it the first time is not an issue because the file is not there. But if you keep writing, then what is happening that you keep adding the information to the pre-existing loop. So be careful to do this kind of operation, that if you is a loop that is a script that is going to run several times, you need to remove the file before. Okay, if not, it's becoming bigger and bigger. And due to that, most of the time the script run more than one time. So it's always good that every time that you want to append, you remove first. Okay, very good. Okay. So in the same for you can insert some condition in the for loop, like in any other language, with the condition if year is not equal to 2003, so it's going to compute the file in 2003. Okay, so be careful about the syntax, okay, because there is always these two parentheses, so the space is not a problem. You can insert more space. The space over here also, this one is not an issue in Bash, but what is really important is the for and the done. Okay, so always try to open and close the for and done. Okay, so here you can see some other some other way of doing the for loop. In particular, this is something that I use it quite often. Inside to the for loop, you do an echo, a printing of the variable name. And this is tell you how far the printing, how far the for loop is running. And you can see processing 2000, 2001, you can see that is processed. Over here, you cannot really see because it's printing all together. Okay, probably because you need to run this one up. It's printing all together. And actually, it was running. It was just not remove the file. So it's printing in one shot immediately. But if you do it in the terminal, you can see that it's printing step by step. Okay, so you can play a bit of with this command, bash command, and they are pretty this one. Try to understand the debugging and try to already implement it inside to your system. And in particular, if you go into the so if you go inside to the web page, okay, you can have already a syllabus for, oh, no, sorry, yes, here, yeah, page, yes, you can have already a syllabus of today. So this one is bringing to you to the file that we are using. And we have, you know, I give you this suggested assignment that can be summarized in this way. Try to really get fast with the terminal, okay? So use I didn't show you, but if you Google it, bash keywords shortcut, they are going to be like the one that I was mentioned during the coffee break, Control A, Control A. There is another one, Control R, that is very useful, the use of tab. So try to get fast in the terminal, because this is where you really become fast. Copying files, you know, for example, for people that they are using remote server, there is a command for copying the stuff that you do it with the FileZilla. You can do it with a command line in the terminal. So try to search for this command, okay? Or try to use wget or curl. People from Mac use more curl, but wget and curl are commands for downloading PDF or any file that you are. So try to really get familiar with this file, or unzip file, untar file, update and upgrade to install software and so on. So try also to install new software in the virtual machine. Try to Google it. So try to get familiar and immediately bring your data set of your PhD, of your work, inside to the sharing folder and start to operate with this file. If you have text file, start to counting row, you know, moving, and try to do it always the command line. Don't use this, okay? Don't use this for, you can use to navigate a bit and understanding what is the path, but then try to use as much as possible this one. Okay, so for today, it's over.